Here we go. Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. We're very dismayed by some of the events that have taken place in this campaign for the 31st District State Assembly, and I wanted to personally thank the members from our reporting corps for coming out and taking an interest in finding truth, which is what we do as journalists. I wanted to thank the folks here at Kino and at ESPN for allowing us to hold our event here in their lobby. It's a beautiful venue. We're very excited to be here and host you all. We're here because of the misleading information that has been dumped on the heads of the people who live in the 31st District. Misleading television ads, misleading radio ads, misleading mail that comes into people's mailboxes. I'm dismayed because my opponent, Joaquin Arambula, has known about these ads for the past number of weeks, yet he has had the opportunity to condemn these ads for being complete falsehoods and complete lies, and he has not condemned these ads. Not only has Joaquin Arambula not condemned these ads, but he's actually taken the information that has come out of these dishonest television and radio ads and mail pieces, and he's adopted them as his own talking points that he's using here in our district with my neighbors, and this has to stop. I'm absolutely sick of it. People are calling me and telling me, Clint, we know this is not true. What are you guys going to do? Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have some folks speak to you this morning about why this was wrong, why this is unethical, and we're going to make our case that this is absolutely not what folks in the 31st District need right now. We need to hear truth. We need to talk about issues. We don't need to be deceptively editing a radio interview for political gain. Joaquin Arambula is someone who will say whatever it takes and do whatever it takes to get elected. And this is what we're seeing. He has an opportunity to disavow and condemn what are clearly manipulative and dishonest ads, and he's not doing that as of yet. But hopefully we'll get to hear some reaction from him today, and he'll change his mind. So let's just review briefly. The special interests in Sacramento that own Joaquin Arambula took a radio interview I did on Longbox.FM, and they edited that to suit their own purposes. They edited it, they chopped it up to make it appear as though I said things that I never said, obviously for political gain. These special interests in Sacramento that own my opponent are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to propagate these falsehoods, to propagate these lies in our community, on television, in the radio, and in people's mailboxes. And we're sick of it, and we're calling for the truth. Now, my opponent and I have both signed what's called the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. We signed this voluntarily, and these are a series of guidelines that set out how to run a clean campaign and how to do the right thing. First of all, you don't report anything that's false. You don't manipulate interviews, and you don't manipulate what someone says in a completely dishonest way for political gain. But I want to draw your attention to number 6. Number 6 says, and we've both voluntarily signed it, I shall immediately and publicly repudiate support deriving from any individual or group that resorts on behalf of my candidacy or in opposition to that of my opponent, to the methods and tactics that I condemn. I shall accept responsibility to take firm action against any subordinate who violates any provision of this code or the laws governing elections. I signed it. If I had folks in Sacramento dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars to dishonestly defame him, I would stop that practice immediately. I'm calling on him to do the same. You signed it, Dr. Arambula. Now you get a chance to abide by it, and I seriously hope you do. With that, I'm going to begin bringing up some folks to talk a little bit in particulars about this. The first person I want to bring up is Mr. Brad Maskey. Brad is a realtor. As you see, one of the special interests that is on the bottom of this mailer says that this was paid for by a group of special interests, including realtors. Well, guess what? Not all realtors are cool with what they did. Brent, thank you.
Not only are we not cool with it, we're not happy about it. As realtors, we give funds to groups, political action committees, that we expect to help protect private property rights and the rights of the citizens in the state of California. We made a donation to a political action committee that we felt was going to support property rights. They're taking that money and they're making misleading ads with it. And when they're making misleading ads, if we were to do misleading advertising in our business, A, we'd violate our code of ethics, B, we'd violate business practices, we could lose our real estate licenses for it. Obviously, they've taken completely out of context and out of order something that Mr. Olivier said. This is false advertising, and realtors don't support false advertising by any party or by anyone. And this needs to stop. And I've already called on the radio show on KMJ, called on Dr. Arambula to distance himself from this kind of advertising. And as realtors, I can tell you, we do not condone this, and we don't like our name being on false advertising.
Our next speaker is going to be Chris Dowdy. Chris is here. He was the host on Longbox.FM, the Dirty Dowdy Podcast that I went on, and the words that I said during his podcast are the words that were chopped up. And my opponent's puppet masters in Sacramento have used his interview with me as the cornerstone of their campaign. So, Chris, if you could come up and say a few words. Thanks for offering me.
I guess I'm the guy who started this. Clint Olivier came on my show back in November. Did an awesome thing coming into my little thing, doing an interview. A few months later, we find out over here on the radio, or the shock of hearing our voice, our audio, used in a commercial to attack a guest on our show. And when going back and listening to the audio, finding it was cut up and manipulated massively and horribly. So I took the time to put together a little piece, a little video to show the original. The original can be found on my website. I'm sure everybody has access to that. It just shows just how bad of a hack job it was to make this guy sound and look as bad as possible. The whole point of that interview, where we went with that, was nothing like what you guys are hearing in the commercials now. It was about constitutional rights, and we went very far to the outside to get to a point. And unfortunately, that is what they used to attack him in his campaign now.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Well, we'll put that out in just a second. The next speaker that we have is Mr. Skip Essick, who's a veteran of many decades of broadcasting, and he's an owner-operator of a radio station here in town to talk to us about ethics in communication.
Thanks, Clint. And I really appreciate Clint telling me that I've been in this business for decades. It makes me feel really old, but thank you anyhow. But it's true. I've been doing this for better than 45 years, and I can tell you that through the years there have been all kinds of ways where you could manipulate audio recordings, change things around. But the way that the software is today on a lot of different programs that are available out there, you can make anybody say anything about anything, and truly distorted the facts. Now, being in the broadcasting business, and most of that time in the news business, this really jeopardizes the entire integrity of a news operation. No legitimate news operation would ever allow any manipulation of audio like this to happen. And clearly, I listened to what happened. I can see how taking bits and pieces of audio and taking it out of context can really distort what the candidate was actually talking about. And that's really a very, very unfortunate thing. Obviously, it's a very, very dishonest thing, and practices like this are rampant throughout our country, and I think you have to be very, very careful about what you're listening to. And you know, I've known Clint for a number of years, and he's an honest gentleman, a lot of integrity, and unfortunately, the person or organization that did this is not. So with that, thank you.
All right, that's good. Thanks a lot. So we've just heard from three folks who are passionate. We heard from three folks who are honest and who are very disturbed by what's been going on here. And so the purpose of this meeting today is to request that Joaquin Arambula, And so we've heard from these three folks, all three of them professionals, and all three with very valid opinions and backgrounds. And so the purpose of today's event is to not just put the truth out there, but to ask that Dr. Arambula man up, honor the signature that he put on the Code of Fair Campaign Practices, and repudiate these dishonest and deceptive advertisements, and to drop all references to this from his mail and any future advertisements as we move forward, because it's the right thing to do. I also wanted to unveil our latest website. If you need more information, you can go to arambulize.com. It is actually features a video that we recut in the most ridiculous way to make Joaquin Arambula look cruel and uninformed and irresponsible. So we put that example on there as an example of what not to do, as an example of what he did to us. And it says on there that this is an example, this is a satire. But unfortunately, what the Arambula campaign and their allies have done is also a satire. With that, I can open it up to questions.
Clint, isn't this just politics? I mean, isn't this just politics? You're in the bigger league now, and they're a little more hard hitting.
Sure. No. It is politics. It's politics as usual, because this is what happens when somebody will say anything to get elected. This is what happens when special interests in Sacramento have their hand-picked candidate, and they know they're going to lose. And so they come out with a desperation tactic. Absolutely, this is politics. And I understand what's the forces that are at work here, and I'm here to condemn them. I put my signature on this Code of Fair Campaign Practices, and so did my opponent. And so I'm hoping that he will take a second look at what he's done, and that he will repudiate what he's done.